friends, welcome back to Rainy Day Reads, or if this is your first time, welcome. Glad to have you. My name is Rainy, and today we are going to do the first mid-month wrap-up of the year. I'm not one that normally does mid-month wrap-ups, but I think I'm going to try to do that this year because I'm probably, maybe, going to be reading a little less this year. I don't know, maybe. So I thought, well, maybe weekly wouldn't really work, but every 2 weeks might. So we're going to give that a try. This week, this mid-month wrap up, I only have audiobooks and, well, one physical book to tell you about. I've just been in an audiobook mood. I am crafting a lot, so, that means that my hands need to be doing other things than holding a book. So, audiobooks are really where it's at for me. So, and some of them, at least one of them, maybe just one, I used Kindle Talk to Text to read an ebook to me. So sort of audio, sort of ebook, but I didn't actually physically read any of it. So yeah, let's just get started into what I've been reading so far in 2023. So, like I said, I had one book that I had on Kindle, and I had Talk to Text read it to me. And this book was Murder on Lot B by Lovett. This is the first book in her Starfire Cozy Mystery series. And if you have been around for any length of time, you know that I love Lovett's Cozy Mystery series. I am currently all caught up on her Port Danby series, and I am caught up on her newest series, the Frostfall Island Mystery series, because I'm on the ARC ARC mailing list for that series. So I get them basically before they come out. So yeah, all the other ones I am not caught up on, but that is a goal for this year. They're not as long running as the Port Danby series, so I have more of a chance of getting caught up in the near future. But the Starfire series, I had actually not even started, but I started it for Cloak and Dagger Christmas at the end of 2022. But then I got sick and my reading kind of derailed for a little bit, and I just didn't get back to it in time to finish it in 2022. So I finished it first in the first couple of days of 2023. Now, this series is a historical cozy mystery series. This series follows Poppy Starfire and her brother Jasper, and they live in the 1920s in California near Hollywood. So it's a little bit of a different setting than what I'm used to from my cozy mystery series, and definitely different from what I've read from Lovett before. But I absolutely loved this setting. It was so fun, and like I said, just different. It's more urban, but obviously because it's from California, but it didn't really have, like, a lot of the more urban cozy mystery series that are modern that I read, I don't like them because they just feel harder and not what I'm looking for in a cozy mystery series. But this cozy mystery series, or at least the first one, felt still cozy, still kind of small town, but yet it's set in Hollywood. She at one point goes to a Hollywood movie set. That's where a lot of it is, where a lot of the action happens. There is prohibition and speakeasies involved. So there's a lot of things that are happening that are very urban, but I still just felt cozy as I was reading it. The brother-sister bond of Poppy Starfire and her brother Jasper was really cute. They have another brother that pops in on occasion, and he was fun to read about. And I should say that Poppy is a private investigator, which is also different than a lot of what I read by Lovett and a lot of cozy mysteries series. Like she's an amateur sleuth of sorts, but it's also her job to investigate. So she's not really doing things just because she feels like the need to vindicate somebody. Like she's being paid to investigate these mysteries. So, so it's a little bit different. If you are somebody who doesn't like the whole just a citizen putting their life in danger just to solve a murder aspect of it, this one might be a little bit different for you, or better for you, because this person is being paid to put their life in danger, I guess. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this book. Like I enjoy all of London Lovett's series, and I am excited to get on to the next one. This one does not have as many books out, I believe. I think maybe 7, maybe. So hopefully I will be able to get caught up in this series fairly quickly, I'm hoping. The next book I read as a buddy read with my friend Tia from Tia and All the Books. This was Heartless by Gail Carriger, and this is the 4th and the second to last book in the Parasol Protectorate series, which is a urban steampunk fantasy series. And it's very funny. It's very witty. It has or not witty, I guess funny and witty, that's the same thing. It's very like sarcastic, and the characters in it are very snarky at times, but I really like that. They do it in a funny way. And the main character is what's her name? Alexia. Yes, she is like a gentlewoman, I guess is what you would call, in the Victorian era, but this is steampunk Victorian era. So she is, at this point, I don't want to give too much of it away, but she has some involvement in the supernatural world. The one thing I will tell you, because I think it's told fairly early on on all the back of the books, is that she is a preternatural, which means she does not have a soul. So that affects her relationships with the supernatural realm. So I can't really say too much about this book, but Tia and I both thought that this was our favorite book of the series so far. Prior to this, we had been thinking that there is a lot of sexy times in this book. It's not like super graphic, but it's not behind closed doors. But it's not too bad. Like I can handle it. So if I can handle it, I feel like a lot of people could. But a lot of those relationships were to both of us, seemed like they didn't go deeper than the sexual interest. But yet you were supposed to believe that they did. And this one kind of changed that. You felt a lot deeper emotion from the characters, who you're supposed to feel like love each other for real reasons other than just sex. So we liked that part, and I liked the action, and how even the action was kind of tied into everybody's emotions, and yeah, it just really kind of solidified the series for me as one that I really like. So I think if I was giving it a star rating, which I mean I do on Goodreads, I think I gave this one 4 stars. There were still some issues that I think both Tia and I had with it, but in general, it was the best in the series so far. Next, I read Acre Festival by Miss Reed. This is, I believe, the 7th book in the Acre series. And this one is just a quiet country life kind of a series that I am reading as a read-along with my friends Kate Howe, Angie from Literary Labors, Chelsea from Voyage of a Time Wanderer, And we have also started to have some guest hosts who have read the series before. So every once in a while, we'll have Janelle from Too Fond of Books and Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books on the lives with us that we do. Actually, the one for Carriger Festival will be this coming Friday, the 20th at 7:30 Eastern Time. So if you have read these books or want to join us, you feel free to hop on to the live. It will be on Kate's channel, so I will link her channel down below. And I can't really say too much about this book because we'll be discussing it. But it was the Carriger Festival was more of a novella, I would say. So there's not a lot of things that go on. And I would say like it is one of my least favorites so far, but it's just, I don't know, it just didn't really grab me, I guess. Is more or less what I would say about that. But it was still cozy. It was still cute. I liked the characters. Just the overall execution, I guess, didn't grab me this time. But I still liked it fine. So I will be interested to see what the other ladies thought of this installment. And the final book that I have finished for this year, for this month, I guess, so far, is On the Banks of Plum Creek by Laura Ingalls Wilder. My friend Amy from Amy's Bookish Life, I believe is her channel name now, have been buddy reading the Little House on the Prairie series for the last few months. And we got to the banks of Plum Creek. And finally, because we just couldn't get it together in November and December to read installment. And so yeah, it was fun to get back into the series. And to be honest with you, this one is the one that felt most nostalgic to me. A lot of the scenes and the plot lines I very clearly remember reading from my childhood, and a lot of it felt very reminiscent of the TV show as well, whereas the previous books in the series, I don't really think that we get too many of those scenes in the TV series. I feel like once we hit this time period on the banks of Plum Creek, that's where we get into all the stuff with that we see in the show. So a lot of the things that happened on the show happened in this book, at least in the early years. We meet in this book, we finally meet Nellie Olson and her little brother, and a lot of the kids that Laura and Mary hang out with. Some of the townspeople that they meet, Reverend Alden is in this one. So yeah, it was just very nostalgic, I think, for both of us, but mainly me, I feel like, because Amy kind of was saying back and forth, like, I don't remember reading this book. None of this is ringing a bell to me. And then there would be like a chance that a time that she would say, oh yeah, I do remember this. So she was very confused as to whether she had read this book before. But yeah, I think we both really enjoyed reading it. And by the end of it, I think we both felt it was very nostalgic. So finally, we'll go on to what I am currently reading. I am currently reading, well, first of all, I'm currently reading the Bible. I'm always trying to currently read the Bible, but I am specifically trying to read the Bible in a year this year. And so far I have kept up with it. I actually have not read today. So after I finish this video, that is what I'm going to do. But so far we've read half of Genesis, or maybe not even half, maybe a third of Genesis, and the whole book of Job, because I'm doing a chronological Bible in a year plan with the Bible recap that has a podcast attached to it. That's maybe, it's never more than like 10 minutes long, usually not even that. And it just kind of explains the chapters that you read and some of the cultural context of those passages. And definitely for Job, I feel like I need those contextual passages, or that explanation, because I know what Job is supposed to be about, but I have a really hard time with it because it is put in like a poetry format. So I do not do well with poetry. so, so the Bible Recap podcast really help to kind of explain what's going on. And I'm reading mainly from the NLT version. I kind of go back and forth, but mainly I feel like the New Living Translation is a very easy style for me to read from, especially in those harder books like Job. I feel like I understand it more when I read from the New Living Translation. So if you're new to reading the Bible, I feel like I would recommend that. It's more of there's a scale, I guess, of like how much a translation is like a word for word translation from the like original Hebrew and Greek, or more of like a thought for thought, like it's giving you the points, the ideas of what the passage is saying, but it's not necessarily like translating the exact wording. So the NLT I feel like is kind of, from the scale that I sort of remember, it's sort of right in the middle. It's more of a thought for thought, but it's pretty close to the like an actual translation of the Bible. So so I feel like that one, or maybe the ESV version, which is another version I like a lot, would be probably a good place to start if you are new to reading the Bible and if you feel like it's difficult. And I feel like, because it is difficult, even for somebody who has read the Bible multiple times, it's difficult sometimes. So yeah, I definitely recommend those two translations if you are new to it, or even if you just have never tried them before. They are good translations, I think. And then also, the one physical book I have to show you that I am currently reading is Cutting for Stone by Abraham Verghese, I think is how you pronounce his name. I actually don't know. But this book is part of the poster that I have that's 100 epic reads of a lifetime. And I'm trying to work my way through those. The original plan was maybe to read 40 in this year, but then I realized that's kind of a tall order if I want to read other things. So I don't know. We'll see. I probably will not make that 40 mark, but this is the one I'm starting with because I had it from a library book sale that I bought it from probably in 2018, I think was the last book sale I went to, honestly. So, so I'm going to try to read this. I'm not very far in. I've only read the prologue. I kind of got in a physical reading slump this past week, and I just haven't, actually, I haven't read anything the last couple of days. I just have not been in the mood to read, really. So even on audiobooks. So, but this one, it does seem like it's going to be interesting. I hear it's going to be a hard read, as far as like the emotions involved. This follows two brothers who are both doctors, and they were born in Africa, I believe, and grew up in Africa, started their practices in Africa, but then something happens and one of them flees to America for a certain length of time. And then eventually, in the prologue, we see that he is back in Africa, in Ethiopia specifically. So apparently something bad happened between the brothers, and one of them takes off to America and continues his practice over there, but then at some point comes back. So I feel like I've only read the prologue, but I feel like we're probably going to move back in time to see where all that is, where all that happens, and then we'll probably circle back around to where the prologue leaves off. So I think it'll be interesting. I just have to get back in the mood to read and read a difficult book, which I am, as you can see from the first 4 books I read, I'm not really into reading the hard books right now. I like the cute, fluffy, nostalgic reads right now. So we'll see. And the final book that I am currently reading and also haven't gotten very far through is 1776 by David McCullough. And this is a nonfiction work. and I am listening to it on audio. My friend Jessica from Instagram said that she was going to read it and wondered if anybody else wanted to read it with her. And I thought, hey, that sounds like fun. I've never read a David McCullough nonfiction. I've heard good things about him. And I thought, hey, 1776, that sounds like an era that I would at least have some idea about from school. So, um, and then also I have been loosely participating in a couple of January readathons, and one of them, the Ring in the New Year readathon, that is hosted by Katie from Pigtails and Paperbacks, or Paperbacks, Ponytails and Paperbacks is her name. I'll have her link below. And her friend Bethany from Bethany Reads Books, I think, maybe. I don't know. I'll have them both linked below. But they're hosting a readathon, and one of the prompts was to read a book with numbers in the title. So 1776 works out. So far, I don't have anything to say about it other than it's talking about the American Revolution. And it started out back in England with King George the Third, I think. Yes, King George the Third. And now we are kind of getting into like more of the American side of things. So I just have to get back into that too. But I am like sucked into watching my watch later list and trying to get that down to a reasonable amount on YouTube. So I gotta get back into my reading game, but we'll see. So anyway, that is all I have for you today for this mid-month wrap-up. I will be back probably at the end of the year for a final wrap-up for whatever I finish reading in the next couple of weeks. And I will talk to you then. All right, bye friends.